Welcome to our
third episode.
It's our third
This is
episode.
number 3.
Episode 3.
Oh, we're trucking along at a nice pace.
We are. It's when did we record last? Was it June?
Oh God, yeah, June.
It was June.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
We really suck at this.
Well, that's true, folks. Just a kindly reminder to all of you who continually ask us when you see us in person, hey, when's the next episode coming out? First, thank you so much for listening. Number 2, we do have to remind everyone this pasty glow that we have about ourselves isn't because we're big fans of the Twilight Saga. It's because we work a full-time job that occurs at night.
I wish I would sparkle. I can make some more money.
Your personality sparkles, Troy. It's one of the main reasons our company
Sparkly
continues going.
gigolo.
Maybe not so much.
Well, all right then.
But as soon as we do a little bit more planning, we'll be sure to have all of you fine folks listen more often. We certainly do want to record as often as we can, but there's only so much of us I'm sure you people want to hear. And when I say you people, I mean everybody who listens to us, not a particular demographic.
No, I just mean you people.
Fair.
Just in general, everybody. You people.
Also, some slight updates. The Fortress of Solitude, we record this wonderful show at, has been relocated, mainly due to the fact that the Fortress of Solitude, as everyone should be aware who listens to my voice, is the, library and sanctuary of the Man of Steel. And as we know, Trump's current immigration policy have dictated that that is not a particular welcome entity in his country. So Superman is relocated to Alberta, Canada, which at this current moment does start to feel a little bit Arctic-y. So he's in the right place. Also, side note, Joe Shuster, co-creator of Superman, Canadian.
Love him.
A lot of people did. Unfortunately, DC Comics didn't for a while. That's a whole other story we'll get into at another time. So this is our third episode of cross-format fandom. For those of you just tuning in, hopefully you've heard the other 2 episodes that are on YouTube, or if you're just tuning in, as I mentioned, they're available there, or should be available there. Troy maintains that particular aspect, don't you, T. Morrow?
I do. They are currently up, and if you haven't listened to them, I would stop listening now and go listen to them first.
Yes. Spoiler alert, there's 2 episodes.
So it'd be quick. So then you're caught up, and then we can have great time.
We're hoping. The other small little aspects, there's also been some changes to some of our lives. I have a new home, so I had to move, which has been enjoyable, but taking a little bit of time. Haven't had to shovel a driveway in many, many, many years, and had a very rude awakening several weeks ago and realized, oh, I'm responsible for this now. Yay.
Yay.
Also, we're in the midst of decorating for Christmas at our home, whether I like it or not.
Good luck.
Yes, Troy stopped by to pick me up on our way to the fortress here and was kind enough to offer some words of encouragement to the decorating team, which is my wife.
Yes. I told her, just go nuts.
Disregard.
There's nothing he can do about it.
Disregard.
Wink, wink.
Disregard. She's like, you're kind of a Grinch at Christmas. And I have to remind her, the Grinch didn't hate Christmas. He hated people.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm very much on that level. The other reason I wanted to get back into the studio as quick as we could here prior to, hopefully, I'd like to see if we can get another episode in before Wookiee Life Day or Christmas Day, depending on your current denomination, is that recently there's been something sort of nagging at me. And what I mean nagging at me is, I mean hot take coming in. I get worked up about things because I don't know whether it's just I'm at that age. That sounds horrible, doesn't it? Like, I remember when pop was, $1 and not $1.75.
Wait, when was that? No, I know.
See what I mean? I can't even remember. But there's also been some recent updates. As it is in pop culture, there's consistently new releases of comics, films,
video games.
Well,
whatever. There's anything under the sun.
There's there's something that's sort of been nagging at me for a little bit that I really want to delve into the meat and potatoes and how it affects not just fan culture, but just general courtesy towards other people. And that, cross-format fandom followers, is spoilers. I want to talk about spoiler alerts and spoiled brats.
I like it.
I don't.
Well, I don't like getting spoiled.
Yeah,
What I'm just saying.
and that's
I like what we're talking about.
And that's the main focus of today's discussion. And if it sounds like I have a little bit of an edge of my voice, I am trying to keep it balanced. It's just it's really sort of irking me. It's vexing me, and I don't like being vexed. I don't look happy most of the time, I'm told. So I don't. For those of you who work a night shift, you'll understand. You only have so much time in the day to go out and run errands and get certain things done. So one of the small perks to my shift and Troy's shift is that we do actually have quite a lot of time to stream shows, to play video games. We don't do it all the time because we actually have other responsibilities and have to get up and run bills and a lot of things that thankfully we can do online, but there is still a lot of time out of our day that we do potentially get to relax, which is why after years and years of procrastinating, I finally bought a PlayStation 4.
Yay!
Very much so. I'm very much enjoying it. And I bought that purely for one specific reason, and that was the game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. For those who know me pretty well, know I'm a big follower of the Force. For many of my friends, I am their source for the Force.
Nice.
I'm not trying to talk myself up, but I'm pretty.
He is, but
pretty advised and educated in the lore of the saga, both Legends and the new canon. I'm not Alex Damon from Star Wars Explained, but I am pretty educated, and I always love absorbing new Jedi and Sith and light side, dark side material, just because that's my favorite aspect of the saga. This game's been highly anticipated, and I've been pretty excited to get on board and start playing it. And so far, my expectations while playing it have been fantastic. But I visit several forums on Facebook, one of which deals with another one of my hobbies, which has to do with fight choreography and weaponry, which is another hobby and a part-time profession, as well as the awesome weapon that is custom lightsaber replicas.
Yay, I love it.
Shout out to Rob Pekow of Genesis Custom Sabers, who makes all of my current, I guess, prop art you can fight with.
Prop art? Yeah. You should go visit him if you want a lightsaber. Like, go.
Very much.
He's amazing.
He is, and he's just a decent human being, which ties in again to my discussion because Rob will understand my feelings on this current particular issue. So I've been playing it, and the game has been going really well. There are some hiccups with the lightsaber combat that we can talk about at a different juncture, but overall, I've been pretty satisfied.
I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Thoroughly.
And there's, like anything else Star Wars related, there's the general overview for people who are playing it and who are gamers, and then there's elements of deep cuts, which are for gentlemen like myself who maybe know a little bit more about the lore and know some things that will be tied in together down the way or have suspicions. And I'm not going to say what this particular aspect is, but there was something I was reading on a lightsaber forum which just dealt with lightsaber replicas. It wasn't even
video game related.
A video game related forum, but I've foolishly been naive enough to assume that people would just not spoil that. But for anyone who doesn't have Disney Plus and hasn't seen The Mandalorian, which is fantastic, by the way, you don't need to look very far on social media posts lately to see that a good portion of that show has already been spoiled. And that's unfortunate because there are people in the United Kingdom who don't have Disney Plus yet. I think Australia just got it, or doesn't have it yet?
I think they've got it now.
I'm not entirely sure.
100% sure, but I think they got it now. But
if anyone is from Australia and wants to comment on that, please, by all means, put it in the comments on the Facebook page.
Nah, put it on the YouTube page.
Or both.
We still don't have comments.
No, I've enabled it.
Oh, did you know? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they are.
Okay.
They just don't like talking to us.
Well, that's fine.
Who would?
We like talking to them.
That's true. We do. The elements of that have already sort of been posted online, and I can imagine the frustration of several people who don't have Disney Plus and haven't seen The Mandalorian, because I'm currently going through this with this video game because twice I've logged into this forum to sort of check something, and individuals have put posts up, and they're not posts that advise, oh, hey, spoiler warning or potential spoiler warning. They're just a screenshot of something. And twice it's happened. And once it wasn't a super major thing. I had suspicions about this particular story development. But the second thing was something that I've had suspicions about for a long, long time. And myself and several other Star Wars fans and theorists have suspected that one particular aspect of this game was going to tie in. I mean, they all tie into the movies somehow. That's the whole point of having it. But that this particular development would have a very sizable connection to films in the saga. And I'm trying to be as vague as I can because I really don't want to spoil it for people who haven't played it. I've been pretty fortunate with other video games. I just got a PS4, as I mentioned, so I haven't gotten to play Uncharted 4 yet, which is one of my favorite series, which Jedi Fallen Order has a lot of similar gameplay to, which I think is part of the reason I'm enjoying it. But the thankful part of that is I've been able to stay spoiler free on Uncharted 4 and look forward to playing that pretty soon. Unfortunately, as mentioned, the Fallen Order aspects, this one particular development was something that I'm sure had I seen it in the game, I would have sort of done a bit of a woohoo, yeah, all right, I know what that is, and been very happy and okay, great to see this connected or suspected, confirmed, or whatever the case may be. When you guys and girls get to that juncture, perhaps you'll know what I'm talking about, or you can just PM me, I guess, or the show
if you really need to. We really need to know what it is, then we're more than, I guess, happy to lay it out for you. But for this particular moment, we'll keep that on the DL, and we'll, if you really need to know, we'll let you know. But
not the DLC, which is downloadable content, but the down low.
The down low.
Very much. James, our editor, is going, well, I've got a lot of work ahead of me. This particular episode is not our best and brightest. But coming back to the main point of contention, this really set me off. I got pretty irked, and I don't often comment on things on forums that aren't related to the topic, but I just sort of let loose. And
nice.
I was pretty civil, but being a professional supervisor at my job and having to work on films part-time, you sort of have to balance professionalism with a bit of an edge so people know you're serious. And I had just stated this was not something that was particularly courteous to anyone in this. First off, it's not even related.
Yes.
I mean, it's related because it's
Star Wars.
It's a lightsaber related game, yes, but this particular development had nothing to do with the
topic in which you guys were talking.
Yeah, had nothing to do with a custom lightsaber.
Right.
It was something. Yes, it's a Star Wars game. Yes, Star Wars has lightsabers in it. Yes, this game is Star Wars related with lightsabers, but this particular screenshot was not something that was, in my opinion, needed. And what's worse about it is there wasn't any warning. It's just, the guy had this caption, and you're scrolling down, and you're not necessarily looking to read that, and then all of a sudden there's a screenshot, and you're like,
"What the
really? What the fudge? Like, are you serious? You couldn't put in big bold letters, spoiler warning, Jedi Fallen Order." And then a lot of other people have already commented, "Oh, thanks for that spoiler," and a previous post that had gone up. And even the group admins don't really seem to be, I don't know whether they just don't catch it or aren't getting it reported or whatever. I don't know. I don't run the page, but I posted that, guys, this is a spoiler. It takes 2 seconds to be courteous and put spoiler warning, Jedi Fallen Order, and then I can close my eyes and scroll down, or I can decide to look or not look. I stayed spoiler free for all the Star Wars films since Disney's acquired them. In some cases, that's been great because I have a much more broad opinion of the film. Whereas with the prequels, I'd spoiled myself pretty rotten to the point where I bought all the books and everything before the film came out. So I knew everything that was going to happen, which in my opinion took away a little bit. But coming back to the game, I'd said this was a really discourteous thing to do. A lot of us don't have hours and hours of free time because we go to work and we work full-time jobs and we have mortgages to pay for and cars. And I'm sure a lot of other people do who play this game, but we just don't have as much time. And when I get time, I want to enjoy it. So the fact that this was sort of spoiled for me really irked me. And several other people had sort of agreed with my comment. And the one individual who had posted it said, well, it's not really a spoiler because it's not a spoken piece of dialogue.
Wait. What? No. That's a nothing. That's a nothing answer. What is that? Not spoken dialogue? What the?
I wholeheartedly disagree with that. It's not a spoken piece of dialogue, so it's not a spoiler.
That's bullshit.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. It's Bantha Poodoo in its purest form. Folks, a spoiler Easter egg reference can be a spoken piece of dialogue. It can be a visual piece of dialogue. Captain America's shield is in Iron Man 2. Okay? It's also in Iron Man 1.
Yes.
It's there. It's an Easter egg. Does he say it's Captain America's shield? No, it isn't until Iron Man 2 where Agent Coulson picks up, whether it's an advanced version of it that Tony's dad was working. We don't know the story of it, but at any rate, that's something that is a spoken piece of dialogue. Both of those are Easter eggs. Both of those are references.
Yes.
The same works for spoilers. It can be something that's said. It can be something that's seen. So the fact that their justification for doing that was it's not a spoken piece of dialogue just sent me right up the tree. I was just livid. And the fact that they couldn't just go back and hit edit and put spoiler warning irks me, because here's the thing. For those of you who do this, and I'm probably going to make some people angry here, but I'm angry at this moment. It's my turn to be angry.
Do it up.
You're not clever for posting that.
No.
You're not clever. The developers of the game, the writers of the game, the Lucasfilm Story Group, those are the clever people because they're the people who designed how this story would work. Or if there's things about Star Wars or a fandom you don't like or don't like what the writers have done, they're the people you sort of aim your displeasure at.
Mm-hmm.
Say Rian Johnson. There's a whole group of Star Wars fans that go, yay, and there's a whole group of Star Wars fans that
say curse,
yes. And whatever you like or don't like, that is generally where your satisfaction or dissatisfaction goes. It's no different for the video game. And the fact that they just couldn't wait. They just had to throw this up. I discovered it. I can't wait to tell everyone how clever I am. You're not clever, ladies and gentlemen. You're playing a game. You sort of have to discover this because it's part of playing the game. It's the path that's laid out in front of you. Even if you don't visit the worlds you visit or do the quests in the order you're supposed to do them, it doesn't matter.
It's all in the game.
Yes.
And it's all there for you to discover regardless.
And I haven't finished it. Troy has. So Troy has been very kind and walking with me on this journey.
Yes.
And sort of nudging me on where I am so he knows what to talk about and what not to talk about. And I want to tie that into just not only spoiler related content, but but just general courtesy to fellow fans.
Etiquette.
Etiquette.
Let's
Thank you
talk
so much.
Etiquette. Online etiquette.
Not just online, in theaters too.
Theaters, in person, all that. There's an etiquette everybody should use, right? If you're, for example, when Game of Thrones out, everybody on the Monday morning would be talking about it.
Quiet in the realm,
right? And the first thing you do is you ask who has seen it and who hasn't. That's etiquette. That's, hey, have you seen it? No? Okay, well, we're going to talk about it. So you can either leave or you can sit and listen. That's entirely up to you. Or we'll leave if you don't want to hear it. And that's the right etiquette to use. You don't just start blabbing it out and everybody's like, oh, I haven't seen it yet. You're like, oh, well, fuck. I just spoiled that for you. But the same thing, putting spoiler alerts on your post before you post it. All those things are etiquette we should be using.
And it's something that I don't necessarily know why it's changed. There have been season finales and series finales of shows that I can remember being a kid. I remember being a kid and my mom, bless her, used to watch Dallas religiously. I remember very clearly there were just times you did not bug my mother.
My mom was the same way.
And when Dallas was on, you didn't go bug her unless you were suicidal.
Or your arm was off.
Or
and even then.
Which, by the way, and she was a nurse, so just appreciate for a moment what it was like to get attention from that, okay? Are you bleeding? No, you're fine.
Get out.
So I remember when the Who Shot JR thing happened, and I remember her talking about this. I don't remember necessarily all the discussion she had, but that was a big thing, Who Shot JR. Mm-hmm. And then there was I don't know whether, was it Patrick Duffy's character died and it turned out to be a dream? It must have been something like that because Family Guy.
Spoiler alert. It was a dream.
It
was
like
all
a 20-year-old
just
show.
a dream. But spoiler alert, I'm just throwing it out there. Spoiler alert. If you haven't seen that season finale of Dallas.
That's right. It's available on DVD. I'm sure someone is streaming it. The things like that. Simpsons, Who Shot Mr. Burns was another one.
That was a big one. I remember that. That was who's in it. Come on, who shot him? We know now. It's come on.
Spoiler alert.
It was Maggie.
It was Maggie Simpson. Things like that have occurred since we were kids. When I was a little bit younger and I was in school, I remember when Batman came out starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, which is still my favorite Batman and Joker.
It's pretty damn good.
All due respect to Mark Hamill and everyone else who's played him respectfully. No one in the schoolyard who went and saw it opening weekend, which I did not get to do, which is probably why I see movies opening weekend all the time now. No one came up and told me, spoiler alert, just in case anyone has not seen the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson Batman. No one came up and told me the Joker is the one who kills his parents in that film. No one tells me a Joker dies at the end. Kids just let you go see it. And then when you could talk about it, they would say, have you seen Batman? Yeah. Cool. Did you remember the part where, but if you hadn't, they sing, oh, okay.
And then they walk away.
And they go away.
And they go find a person who has, so they could talk about it.
Yes. Or the Ninja Turtles movie, right? There was just, and I mean, I'm sure it happened where some people did in fact get spoiled. I'm sure there was always one kid who just didn't understand the social connectivity. But The Force Awakens, Star Wars Episode 7, had a very major spoiler in it that myself and a lot of others suspected when we heard that a particular cast member was coming back. And spoiler alert for anyone who has not seen Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, just maybe come back to this podcast in like a couple of years. But Han Solo is killed off.
Wait, what?
Yeah, don't give me that. Don't even try. I can honestly say that had I gone into that film and someone had been coming out of the first showing, because my Saber Guild Rebel Legion group of friends all go see it opening night. But we usually go see it, since Disney's taken them over, in the late evening, because it's the week before Christmas, and West Edmonton Mall can be quite a busy place at 7 o'clock the week before Christmas on a Thursday or Friday. So we go to the 10 o'clock showing or whatever. So it's a little less busy, and we can find parking easier. And people don't give us quite so many looks when you're walking down the Christmas stores in Jedi robes. But had anyone spoiled that for us going in, I can honestly say that I probably would have gone to jail for assault, because there's just a world where people don't think there's consequences for things. And my 2020 resolution is I'm going to make people realize there are consequences for things. I'm not angry. It's like Batman. People need to understand that there are consequences for things, and people will sit in a movie theater and they'll text and they'll talk, and they don't have any regard for people around them. We went, and my wife and I went and saw A Quiet Place, and this couple yapped for the whole movie a couple seats away, and no one said a thing. I said, shh, please. My wife said it several times, and they just kept talking.
You're not at home, man.
And you're right. You're not at home.
Etiquette again.
And streaming, where people go home and they can look on their phone, they can talk to their buddy, they can hit pause. That behavior is starting to affect how people conduct themselves in a movie theater, and why movie theaters are having a lot more trouble getting people into the theater, because why would I go to a theater when I can stay at home? Would I love to go see Star Wars on the big screen? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. If I think it's going to be full of people that are going to talk and yap,
be getting slaps,
I'm going to stay home.
Everybody's going to get a slap in the face
with a chair.
High five with a chair.
And again, I'm really not trying to come off as trying to sound like a jerk. It's a matter of courtesy, people. Please have some courtesy for what you're discussing. When we were at the Calgary Expo this current year, Avengers Endgame had come out the same weekend.
Yep.
There were booths that had big neon signs that were printed up in front of them that said, please do not talk about Avengers Endgame spoilers in front of our booth, because these individuals were there working the convention and didn't get a chance to go see it. I have a question for you, Timoro. Generally, in the 70s and 80s, jock culture, as it was known, was, the sort of oafish, jerkish,
yes,
sort of mentality, and nerds were considered these dorky
weaklings,
weaklings.
No, nothing.
But they were, especially if you watch the Revenge of the Nerds films. But for the most part, were considered to have hearts of gold and very decent people underneath, because they'd read comics and followed stories of heroes. Myself, I'm sure you have your own influences. Mm-hmm. He-Man and Superman being big influences on my life. You generally learn to conduct yourself accordingly, and they all had positive messages. Knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
Knowing is half the battle.
Those were things that sort of were instilled to sort of make you a better person, despite the fact that sometimes you have to fight people.
Yes.
So now we're right there because we're recording a podcast, and there's people with, we've got a YouTube page for this, and we've got a Facebook page. So we're very much sort of a small cog in this collective machine. But, I see a lot of videos from vloggers who just sit there and trash movies all day. And first off, for anyone who doesn't work in the film industry, it is not an easy profession. It's a lot easier to sit there in a gaming chair and critique it.
Yeah.
Myself included. I have things I like and don't like about video games and comics, and yet I didn't make them.
Right.
But I have worked on a film or two. I do understand the work that goes into it. So I try to be as open-minded as I can. But at the end of the day, I have an opinion as a fan and as a moviegoer. So has the accessibility of being able to just throw your opinion online and become a keyboard warrior, if you will, similar, I guess, to what we're doing right here, Has that sort of overpowered just the general, the pop culture, I'll use the word nerds and geeks as a collective understanding, not as a defamation of any particular group.
Yeah.
Are we now the jerks?
Oh, it's flipped. Yeah. Well, yes. Well, in the sense of like, well, not all of us. Again, like not all jocks were bullies.
Very true. Yes.
Right. Yes. And so it's kind of flipped where now the geeks and the nerds now kind of like run the yard, I guess, run the playground. And but there's you got your real jerk nerds and then you don't.
The meek shall inherit the earth.
And they have.
And the geek shall inherit the earth in this case, right?
Right. So it goes with everybody. Any kind of clique or whatever, you have all those. So you have your jerks and you have your non-jerks. The jerks always tend to be the ones to make the loudest noise. Everybody else just kind of sits back and kind of whatever. I don't want to deal with that. And those jerk ones are always the loudest ones. So everybody gets to hear them all the time. So when we get in your keyboard warriors, you say, needs to sit back and take a look what they're saying. Like, not every film and movie and game and whatever else is as horrible as they're out to make it. Don't get me wrong. There's lots of movies and games and things that I've watched or played, and there's things about it I don't like. But in the end, did it do what it was meant to do in the first place?
Yeah.
Did it entertain you? Did it get you where, did you get your feelings? Did it give you some feelings?
It's called classics. A lot of those films. I love the movie Hudson Hawk. It's a guilty pleasure of mine.
I have that one on my shelf.
There are people that just will not give this film the time of day. And
I love
for
Hudson
a whole
Hawk.
group of people, it's. I mean, if you were to watch the first Evil Dead, would you suspect that it would spawn
Army
two
of
sequel
Darkness?
films and yet
And a TV show?
TV series? Spoiler: I've not seen the third season.
Well, I don't think that's a spoiler, but
I guess
that's just you. Just
I guess
haven't
that's
seen
me
it.
saying, please don't put
Please don't
spoilers on
tell
there
me
for
things about it.
The whole those people sort of talk the loudest. I get that, but these people seem to be doing it more often because they don't seem to think there's any sort of repercussions for things anymore.
Well, is there?
There should be.
Well, agreed, but obviously there isn't because they keep doing it.
And
So-
that's another aspect is, after I posted this response on the Facebook lightsaber forum there that I was on, I don't want to say the name of it, but I got a few people who very much were, yeah, absolutely, everything you're saying is correct, or I like to use on point when something I agree with is pretty
on point.
dead on.
Yeah.
Some people go yep. But there was a whole collective group of people like, well, it's not really a spoiler. How do you figure that? Do you figure that because you've already completed it? Like, why would you not just take a second and write spoiler warning?
I find that these people, those people, these kind of people, it's like they're not educated on the etiquette in which they should be educated on.
It's like technology in the hands of people who don't understand it.
Right. So like, don't get me wrong, you can go on forums and that's the thing, do whatever you need to do, but at least know the etiquette in what you're, when you go to a movie theater, you don't talk through the entire movie. You don't take phone calls and have conversations on your phones or text people in the theater. You want to do those things, leave the damn theater.
I agree.
Or you're going to get tossed out of the theater by somebody.
Will you?
Oh, 2020 resolution, my friend.
I mean, I haven't had to the point where I've actually gone out and asked someone in the theater staff, hey, you need to come in and ask these people in this row to quiet down or leave. It might be something I think going forward, if something does continually happen during a film, that I go out and do. I know the entertainment industry is very much looking to keep its brand intact. I know Cineplex has the Rec Room, And part of that is because people just don't go to the movies as much, right?
Right. Well, like I've been in a situation where I've literally almost gotten into a fight because it was Superman 2 opening day, not Superman 2. Let me rephrase that. That was not Superman. Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
And there were a bunch of
jerks.
Yeah, we'll use that word. That had laser pointers, and all they were doing was pointing it at the screen all over. There was like 5 of them, and everybody's like, you could hear everybody like, you know, collectively like, what the F's going on? Like, who's doing this? And it was all quiet, and these people were like right behind me. So I stood up and I was like, you better stop doing that right now, or we're not gonna like what comes next, kind of deal, right? And then, of course, you know, little punk kids. So, oh, you want to fight me? I'm like, I will beat your ass so hard. But then the lights came on, and then the staff came in and took all of them out. But like, it became like very, very, like they literally stopped the movie, and then the lights came on, and they came in and removed these kids.
Yeah,
like everybody in the theater was like, everybody started clapping and stuff but like, if it shouldn't take that. That shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be an extreme. But as a moviegoer, if I had that happen, I would be okay if they stopped it and the lights came on and they ejected people and then turned the lights down and put the movie back on.
Continue back on.
I can get right back into it, guys, because it's a lot easier than trying to find your way through people talking and texting and yapping. And it's happened a couple times where I've been in a film with my wife, and like I said, it's a quiet place, and the couple in the few seats over were talking through the whole thing, and the dialect they were speaking was a different language. I will just kindly remind everyone, it doesn't matter what language you're speaking, you're still speaking during a film. If you have to translate a film with the person you're with, do it at home. Do it at home, or come maybe see a showing fairly early on in the day, or wait till it's out in theaters a little bit when there's less people there and you have more space to sit back a few rows so people won't it's common courtesy. People, you have every right to go see that film. You pay your money. Yep. The movie companies want you to see the film. The theater companies want you to see the film. As someone who works in film part-time, I want you to see the film. I want you to talk about what you like and don't like. It's what keeps the creative process going. But there are some things you need to keep in mind. The theater is not your living room. Your freedoms end where your neighbors start.
Yep.
I have neighbors, which is, again, a newer thing for me now, not being in a townhouse. It's okay. I got neighbors. I've had some really wonderful encounters with them. A young boy across the street shoveled my sidewalk before I came home one morning and helped me the next time it snowed. Our neighbors pointed out to my wife something that was sort of askew in the backyard. It's nice. People sort of watch each other's backs. It's a courtesy. In courtesy to them, despite the fact that for me, normal hours are like midnight to 6 a.m., I don't have my music blaring. I'm out in the garage with the garage door open, working on a project. Tinkering around, because that's when they're sleeping. Yeah. Likewise, my neighbors have figured out he works evenings. So one actually kindly told me that they were looking to mow their lawn during the week. What time and day would be best not to wake me up? And I was like, oh my God, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. And their lawn is on the opposite side anyway, but I don't even think I told my wife this. It was like right around, I think they'd introduced themselves to my wife, but I said, oh, you can mow any time. It really it won't affect me that much. But it was just nice to have that. And just a general courtesy of something. And the other aspect to tying that into the etiquette and theater and the etiquette on a forum is, when people say, okay, well, that's kind of common sense. That's not really a spoiler. Something else to consider, folks. What is not a spoiler to you may in fact be a spoiler to someone else. people binge watch a television show now, do you know why they binge watch a television show?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, but one being the show's awesome.
That's an element of it.
Okay. Yeah. And the second one is,
this is my opinion. I could be way wrong, but a few individuals I've talked to have confirmed this with me, that this is kind of why they binge something. They binge it so that no one spoils it for them.
I can see that. Yeah.
Which is really disappointing. The fact you have to rush through a show in a weekend, not necessarily because you want to watch it all and enjoy it or let it all soak in, but just so that when you're flipping through Instagram or a Facebook forum, someone doesn't post something that they don't necessarily understand. My wife is she's a Disney princess herself, but she wants to see Frozen 2. And someone threw something in Instagram that she was like, really? Like, you couldn't
have put a spoiler alert.
And if people,
Instagram's a little harder to put spoiler alerts because it's just straight up about pictures, but
well, I mean, you showed me something at work yesterday with something from The Mandalorian that I said, okay, we'll send that to my wife on Instagram if you can, because I don't Instagram people.
No, he does not.
I do not. The world needs leaders, not tweeters. The element of that is part of me is like, oh, great. And then I sort of was like, oh, hopefully if this is on her public page or whatever it is, there aren't people who want to see this and go, oh.
No, I direct message her. I made sure there was no spoilers.
You direct messaging my wife?
Yeah, I DM'd
you talking
her.
to my wife?
I slid right into her DMs. Slid right in there.
Oh, it's on like Donkey Kong. But I'll get some. Troy, I know you have some deeper thoughts here, and I needed to vent a little bit about that. I'm not trying necessarily to get everyone to walk on eggshells. It's just have some courtesy for the people around you.
No, I'll agree with that, and then we should with the etiquette. Everybody should be using the proper etiquette when it comes to those. Now, for me, in my own opinion, I don't want stuff to be spoiled for me, but if it happens to be spoiled for me, okay, I'm not gonna not have fun time watching or playing whatever I'm doing anyways. Sometimes some people take the getting spoiled things too far. So like if something is spoiled for me, it's not like my experience isn't going to be any different. It'll be a different perspective when it comes up when to the point where that was spoiled, but I'll just have a different perspective of what I'm watching or playing now instead of right. Not that I want it to be spoiled, but I'm not going to it's not going to ruin something for you. Now, if something ruined something for you, like literally absolutely ruined it, and you can't watch the show or play the game anymore, then obviously it wasn't a very good show or game in the first place. If that one thing literally spoiled it for you so bad that you couldn't watch it or play it, then whatever you were going to watch and play sucked. Just saying that. So it sucks to be things that get spoiled, but personally, if it does, I'm just going to have a different perspective on how it plays out when I see it. I'm still going to enjoy the movie. I'm still going to be entertained from the game or movie or whatever I'm watching. I personally don't want to be spoiled, but like I said, if it does, shit, but I'll make it work. I'm still going to have a good time to go watch it, regardless of what it is. I've said it before. I'm more about the entertainment value I get out of watching movies and games or playing them. I boil it down. There's things I don't like and I like about things, but in the end, did it entertain me? Then it did its job. Then they did what they were supposed to do in making it. It entertained me, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, there are perfect example. Everybody hates Batman v Superman.
It's not my favorite piece of work. No,
again, right? It had lots of plot holes. It had lots of just a mess of a thing. Which
the yawn of justice, as some have called it.
Right. Yeah. Which yes, there are a lot of problems with that movie, but in the end, I liked it because I got to see Superman and Batman in the same movie.
Yeah, it took years and years and years to
they did it. And yeah, don't get me wrong. Like,
I
there
get
were
that part.
a lot of things that were just what the H are you doing? But I got to see Batman beat the living crap out of people, Superman go to town. Like, it was good. I enjoyed it because it made me feel good. I got to see them together, and I had a good time watching it. Yes, there's a lot of things wrong with it, but I still enjoyed it, even though there were bad things.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, at the end of the film, when, spoiler alert, Superman is killed, jumped the shark or nuked the fridge or whatever you want to phrase it as.
Yeah.
In my opinion. That isn't something I went and told everyone about.
No.
And once you watch a film, you know the ending. I've watched, Gladiator, Troy, Last Samurai, Braveheart. Like, they're all tied up there as my favorite film. I can watch those 1,000 times. The ending doesn't change. I know what happens.
Yeah.
It's still enjoyable. So I get that aspect that, yeah, okay, it's spoiled, but I can watch it.
But I can still watch it.
And there is that element. But for me, it's that initial, okay, well, I get to go on this story the first time. It's that new territory. Similar to, I guess, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, films. For a lot of people, those are myself included. Those are big journeys cinematically to go on.
Yeah.
And even though I've seen them all dozens of times, does it make it any less enjoyable? No. Would I have been more irritated had people spoiled things from the films? That's harder to do because they're already
there's books.
But they may
many
change things, like The Walking Dead is an example.
No,
they change a lot of things in that.
They do change things, and that's okay.
But there's a difference between people accidentally letting something out, which does happen. And that's totally forgivable, everybody.
Malicious spoiling?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to tell you right now. If you are out to maliciously spoil things for people, you can go fuck yourself. I don't care. You can. And whatever happens to you when you do that, 100% your fault. Nobody else's. If you're doing that on purpose, just straight up be ashamed of yourself. And you go crawl into that hole you call a basement. Yeah, and kill yourself.
J.J. Abrams had when he was making The Force Awakens, had a big banner up near the studio shop that said "Loose lips sink starships." It was just funny because I heard The Rise of Skywalker, where they were filming it, John Boyega was moving and he had the script at home and left it under his bed accidentally. And when they were cleaning out the apartment or wherever he lived, a cleaner found it and put it up on eBay, and eBay actually contacted Lucasfilm and said, we think this might actually be a real script. And of course, John Boyega's like hanging his head in shame and trying to explain. He had a big party of friends over one night and put it under the bed so no one would read it, and then forgot it there because he had
a party,
a little bit of a good time and couldn't really remember what was going on. But thankfully, again, that's something that eBay could have very much made a lot of money on and just taken their cut. And someone could have gone and spoiled everything, keeping in mind that they probably shot 2 or 3 different ways to end this movie.
For sure.
The other element I want to tie in, and it comes back to our opening in terms of our updates. And this was a big one here, was the fact that the project that we were alluding to going to go check out was Ghostbusters 2020, as it's being called, or as it was filmed here, known as Rust City.
Rust City.
The production has come and gone in the time since this last episode. I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about. But this is one of those things where you don't wreck things for people. Several individuals in my Ghostbusters fan group were fortunate enough to get to help contribute to this project. and they have this wonderful plaque that says Rust City, we came, we saw, we can't talk about it. But that being said, they very easily could spoil this for people. So could people who weren't in fan groups, who were just hired locally from local talent. You know, non-disclosures aside, they make you sign a lot of these folks. I've signed quite a few in my time, but I can tell you that there are very easy ways to leak things. Hollywood Reporter gets them all the time. Lots of places do. The amount of information coming out of a studio now is just torrential. It's impossible to market everything. So it's always refreshing when people don't spoil something for other fans. I know that there are some other fan groups with that Ghostbuster production that seem to really want to dig their hands in and know as much as they could. And folks, they're here to make a movie. We're fans. When they want us to interact with them, they'll let us know. We are very much a platform of support and media attention. And the last thing they need are people showing up in costumes, drawing attention to the production, because in my opinion, it's not a cool thing to do. I speak from someone who is a fan and does work in the industry very part-time, not as much as I used to. But I've had the pleasure of meeting and working with some individuals from Star Wars and other fandoms that I like. I can tell you that I did not show up for work in a set of Jedi robes. That day look at me. Yeah, I showed up, did my job when I had some time and they were not busy or occupied. Just walked over, shook their hand, said, big fan of your work on this particular project. And then, if they want to continue the conversation, they'll continue it. Yeah. And if they don't, you walk thank you very much away, and you walk away. They're still at work. I don't always like to get bugged at work about a lot of things. Yeah. Troy knows from experience.
Yes, I do.
But again, there are tons of things that people could spoil for this film and have chosen, in my opinion, the high road and say, no, let people discover it for themselves. It's taken this long to get this movie done. Coming back to Star Wars, we're getting the final film in the Skywalker saga, as they're calling it, which apparently will close off 3 trilogies.
Wow.
This is not...
I like it.
Hopefully. I'm
going to like it.
Not something I want to get spoiled. It's not something I want to see spoiled for other people. So just as a reminder, everyone, I know everyone wants to go and talk about it. I know everyone gets excited about it. That's great. That's what fandom should be. Fans of sports teams. I remember people used to record football games and basketball games. And I think there was an episode of Seinfeld where he literally leaves a message on his answering machine saying, if you're calling, don't talk to me about the game. I haven't seen it. Yeah. And he ends up getting spoiled. And he just, I just watched the game. I haven't seen it yet. But the overwhelming aspect is that things happen accidentally. That's normal.
Yeah.
But just have a little bit of awareness about what you're posting, where you're posting it. First off, keep it on topic.
Yes. If you're on your lightsaber forum and you're not even talking about lightsabers and other things, like it doesn't matter if you're talking about lightsabers. It doesn't mean you get to talk about, the Rise of Skywalker. It's unless you're literally talking about his lightsaber he's using in it, that's one thing. But just talking about the movie in general you're not go to a Rise of Skywalker forum
or
and
go
talk
to
about it, or literally a forum for talking about whatever you're talking about.
Or if you're posting something that in that case has a lightsaber related reference,
right?
Just post a little FYI possible spoiler for your Jedi Fallen Order. Just have some courtesy for the people who may not be there. Oh, well, that's common sense. Folks, if it was common, we wouldn't have a whole ton of safety regulations and traffic regulations and ways to conduct ourselves in terms of both privately and publicly.
Yep.
And that's kind of the issue is that were the case, guys, there'd be a lot fewer people in the world because we wouldn't have things like, do not stick this fork into a electrical socket. Well, that's common sense. Is it?
Yeah. Well, obviously it's not.
Don't G.I. Joe and Superman used to tell us don't take drugs when we're kids, and we have an opioid crisis right now. So it's not, there are mental health issues that can factor into that as well. Common sense is not a common thing. It'd be great if it was, but it's not.
Educate yourselves. Have the proper etiquette. Know it. Use it.
And have some courtesy for the people around you. Go enjoy the film. Absolutely talk about it.
Yes.
Talk about what you like, what you don't like. Troy and I do it all the time. There are plenty of things we don't agree on, but what we don't agree on, we just leave it at that.
Yeah. That's it. That's all it is.
Exactly.
It's a discussion.
Troy really liked Batman v Superman. Yeah, I did not. Okay.
That's it.
What I liked, and what he liked, and we talk about the things we liked and the things we don't. We just sort of let be.
Yeah.
And you're not going to change people's opinions.
No.
You can show them facts, but because passion and emotion are very much a part of your perception and your opinion, right? Talk to anyone who's looking at our current, provincial government is doing a lot of things that are not making a lot of people happy. But there's also a collective group that are happy with them because they were landslide victory, right?
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
not landslide, but
yeah,
I know what you're saying. We get, yeah.
But
I understand.
4 years ago, when that government was ousted and a new government put in, again, very different opinions of that government at the time.
True.
So opinions are always going to be there. You're entitled to them. If you want to share things you've discovered, that's awesome. Just try and remind yourself, wait, just throw up a spoiler warning. Not everyone needs to complete a video game or binge watch a show in one weekend.
Right.
Okay. So in closing to this lightsaber forum, I sort of mentioned, okay, well, I'm not coming back here until Mandalorian is over, Rise of Skywalker is done, and I've finished this game. Is it unfortunate I have to do that because there's probably a lot of great discussions and props that people have made that I'm going to miss out seeing? Yeah, it does.
No, that is unfortunate, and I do the same though. I generally just, when I'm into a show or into a game, I generally just steer clear of the internet, or just even general things towards those things, like gaming forums or movie forums.
Yeah.
I steer kind of clear, just for my own. Like, no, but you don't have to do that, but I just do that just in case. I do it for just in case.
I hadn't planned to avoid this forum completely, but of course, it happened. There's the Ghostbusters fan boards. There's forums in there for all the movies and the uniforms and the packs, and there's some in there for spoilers for the new film if people have theories or read reports. And I haven't clicked on that forum. And you
don't need to. And you don't need to.
There are times I'm really tempted just to go, okay, who knows what here?
Thinking? Yeah.
How close are you guys to the mark? And once this film comes out, there are plenty of things. We'll have an episode and I can finally discuss a lot of these things. But in the meantime, keep your ghost traps shut.
And just be kind and courteous to each other.
Yeah, and be excellent to each other.
Yeah.
Another film coming out, which hopefully won't have spoilers for us.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited.
I am too. So just a kind reminder, we're not trying to come at anyone aggressively. We're fans too, and we know there's other fans out there. We would hate to spoil things for people, and we would hate to have things spoiled for us. So just take a little bit of time. We're into the Rise of Skywalker's coming out, Mandalorian's debuting weekly, Fallen Order's out. I know we're coming into another Marvel phase of movies that are going to hit now that Endgame's done. There's a lot of, especially there's also the television series. There's plenty of television series.
One coming out in 2020.
Yep. There's also obviously a lot of the DC comic shows The Crisis on Infinite Earths sort of idea storyline, which I'm very excited about because
Coming up this week.
Tyler Hoechlin, who's a tremendous gentleman, and Brandon Routh both play wonderful Supermen. I'm so excited to see Brandon back, which is not a spoiler. It's a publicly announced thing.
It's a publicly announced thing.
So I'm very excited for this, but I would hate to have that sort of spoiled before I've even streamed it. So just reminder to everyone, when you're posting your video logs or your vlogs as they call it, keep an eye on what you put as your title. I see a lot of YouTube videos. I wanted to listen to the theme for Cal Kestis from Jedi Fallen Order because I think the score for that is fantastic. Really evokes a lot of John Williams' sort of whimsy from his prequel and a little bit of his sequel trilogies. But the YouTube videos that come up in related searches, I sort of have to put my hand up and block the right side of my face to make sure I don't accidentally look at something. And I would hate to, that'd be the worst YouTube video. You're not even looking at it, and the title spoils everything. And that's what I mean by malicious. People purposely just throw in their videos and searches to spoil it, and the title alone. Just have some guys. It doesn't make you more clever to spoil stuff for people. Just
makes you an asshole.
Yeah, it does. So just don't be that person. Let's be the fan culture that people think we are.
Right.
Okay, because quote Jor-El there, they can be a great people. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way. So just take a second and just think before you speak. In Sparta, everyone's accountable for the words of their voice, even a messenger. We don't have any giant pits that we can kick people down, but sooner or later, if you're the kind of person that just talks in a movie and texts and just spoils things and just generally is discourteous to those around them, sooner or later, there's always a bigger fish. And someone who is not particularly liking that is going to get in your face about it. And if you start looking around expecting someone to help you or expecting social justice to somehow help, if you don't have respect for it, it's not going to work for you. It's karma, folks.
Yep.
You're going to get put on your butt, and it's not going to be enjoyable. And it makes a bad situation for everyone. So just, especially right now, it's the holiday season, goodwill towards men and women.
And everybody in between.
So don't be a Grinch when it comes to interacting with those around you. There's enough of that. There's plenty of places in the world that are very war-torn and will never see peace. So just enjoy the peace of mind we have where we can sit and discuss movies and enjoy a relative freedom to do that because other people are willing to go deal with stuff we don't want to. We don't need to be fighting these kind of battles at home. Don't wreck things for people who haven't experienced them yet. Let them experience it and journey it on their own. If I have a niece, but if I had children, I would absolutely really be disappointed if someone spoiled The Empire Strikes Back for them prior to me getting to witness the trauma of what that does to a young life. Speaking of which, please show your children episodes 4, 5, and 6 first, and then the prequels and sequels.
Show them 4, 5, and 6. They'll love 1, 2, and 3 because they're young.
That's true. There's a whole generation that loves the secondary trilogy, and we'll get into that maybe in another episode. But I think that's gonna tie it up for us currently. I think Timoro and I are actually gonna think about go get some food.
Oh yeah, I love me some food.
Maybe we'll do the maybe we'll go to that Void. Go to the Avengers.
Is that one still out?
I think it's brand new. It should be out. If any of you, before we go, want to have a Void in your area, there's the Star Wars Secrets of the Empire, and there's the Marvel's. I can't remember what it was called, but it's an Avengers virtual reality. It's a little bit pricey. I think it's like $30 a person. It's about 20 minutes, but
It is pretty epic though.
Like
You're
it's
gonna
what
have
you-
a good time either way.
you are. It's like a holodeck.
Yeah.
It really is. I did the Star Wars one, which Troy, you went
I've
with.
done the Star Wars one and it is amazing. I had a great I was trying to just touch everything.
It is. It's fantastic. It's if you were born in the late 70s, 80s, it's really just such a wow, this is so beyond anything. And the Avengers one is right up that alley. I'm hoping to see more of these, and maybe again talking about Cineplex expanding its brand. Hopefully, we'll see more of these because I could certainly deal with that.
Maybe they'll start actually creating holodecks.
It's possible.
I'm just saying.
Again, fan culture is capable of anything. Cell phones came from Star Trek communicators.
Boom.
A lot of you guys can make this happen. You have the brains for it. Just make sure you don't spoil it for someone who's thinking about watching a new episode, because that could turn them off the whole franchise, and we might never get holodecks because this guy just is not happy
Just
with
wouldn't shut up.
wouldn't shut up. So that's going to do it for us. Until next time, I'm going to tell everyone to keep your stick on the ice.
And hopefully it's not as long as it was this last time.
Hopefully we're working on it. Please bear with us, as you all have, and feel free to comment on some things on the Facebook page and the YouTube page. Guys, just please keep it, again, above the table. You're entitled to opinion.